warnings, winter weather advisories, winter storm watch. It's a smattering of different winter weather advisories in place right now. Upper Midwest, northern plains, all the way into New England, and then even down south into Little Rock. That's where you've got those advisories in place right now.
Yeah, about 134 million people being impacted in some way from Winter Storm Thor. Well, Winter Storm Thor does have its sights set on Chicago. In fact, snow has already been falling there this morning.
They had snow this morning. They had a record cold over the weekend, and they have some freezing rain as a concern as well. So Reynolds Wolf is there right now. Reynolds, the visibility very low behind you. Is that snow or is it more of a freezing rain currently?
You know, right now it's mostly just low clouds the time being. We did have a blast of snow that came through here this morning. When we first got here, you had clear skies. I mean, you can see the skyline with no problem whatsoever. Then we had a blast of snow that came through, helped cause a bunch of spin-outs in parts of the town. A lot of people having some issues with driving. And keep in mind, City of Chicago's done all they can to keep the roadways clear because they've had over 300 vehicles out salting. They've been plowing. They're doing everything they can to keep everyone on top of this. And they've done a fairly good job, but these are mostly low clouds we're seeing. Precipitation has gone from, well, we had some snow, then we had a little bit of light rain, and now we just have raindrops that are falling through. Some of it actually freezing on the snow, making it kind of slippery to say the very least. Kelly?
And Reynolds, you know, cold has been the other story. Obviously, you know all about that, too, with that polar plunge taking place there over the weekend. Let's talk more about our forecast and what we can expect. We'll get back to Reynolds in just a second because I want to show you all the colors on our radar. The purple indicating some of that freezing rain. Reynolds currently in a little bit of a break, but you can see the snow just off to the north in Milwaukee, where the temperature right now is 27 degrees. Rockford, you're quiet right now with just the clouds around, and 29 degrees. Whereas we time it out, though, freezing rain going over to more showers. And temperatures, Reynolds, getting back up above freezing. So that's certainly some good news, but I know the road conditions are still going to be a little dicey as we try to do some traveling over the next couple hours, Reynolds.
Oh, you got that right, especially overpasses and bridges. And, you know, and speaking of rough travel, it's not just a Chicago issue. It's a regional issue, especially in places like Indianapolis, where we have some aerial video to share with you. Jackknife trailers, we've had a lot of spin outs, a lot of fender benders there, to say the least. And it basically comes where you have people trying to get from one part of town to the other, or across the state, or even just down the street. And the issue is you have slippery road conditions. That is going to be a problem for so many people, millions of Americans, as this storm lifts up, marches its way out towards the east, eventually affecting spots like Detroit, Cincinnati, Columbus, and then farther up in the northeast. This has got long-term ramifications from this one big system. Back to you guys.
Reynolds, you're so right about that, and this really has been the winter of so many car wrecks out there. Be safe, buddy. We'll talk to you a little bit later on, but right now, Kate is tracking other places that are being affected as well.
Right, we're taking a look at the radar here, Kelly. Obviously, we have some concerns on it whenever we see purple start to pop up in places like Indianapolis, indicating some freezing rain potentially. That means you very cold air at the surface. You can see that 29 degrees there and in Chicago, but you've got a little bit of warm air aloft, which is melting those snowflakes, and then whenever they come back down to earth, we're obviously freezing. So that's a concern for us. We also have Detroit and Cleveland both experiencing some sleet potentially right now. We've also got a big band of snow that's starting to move off toward the east in that location. Look at the wide breadth of Thor from Minneapolis all the way to Alpena, and then you're just going to keep on across the lakes. We've got a huge swath of snow causing tremendous impacts across the upper Midwest. You're going to see travel delays that are significant. We've even got those blizzard concerns just to the west of Minneapolis there. Look at Fargo. Your wind gusts right now, 39 miles an hour. You've got 37 in Aberdeen, so obviously some pretty strong winds. It does not have to be snowing for blizzard conditions to be present. We already had the snowfall. If we get those wind gusts that are consistently over 35 miles an hour and they don't stop, that's when we start to see visibility highly impacted. We have to have less than a quarter mile there visibility as well. So another 3 to 5 inches possible in Michigan with this. Kelly?
All right, Kate, if I'm going to pick my poison, I'd pick regular snow rather than the blizzard or the ice.
Oh,
that's even worse, you know?
You can actually get some traction in snow. Ice is the worst, and blizzard, you just can't see where you're going. So we've got some bad conditions that are rolling from the Midwest and making their way to the Northeast, as we might expect, right? I just looked at, by the way, Erie, Pennsylvania's conditions right up here on the lake. They went from 10-mile visibility to heavy snow at quarter-mile visibility. So you were talking about it. When it's coming down so heavy, it's hard to see. But all this is rolling its way into the Northeast. It means for a lot of us some pretty good snow, maybe in places even like New York, one of our biggest snows of the season. season, so a lot of winter weather advisories in effect here across the Northeast, and it's going to go back and forth between snow and then rain. So there's a look at that mix, Kelly, that comes for us here. Generally western PA into western New York, and then we get enough snow initially in bursts of it. I think we actually get some pretty good accumulation. We eventually go over to the mix, and then once that clears out, we go over to a little bit of rain. That'll pull down the accumulation a little bit, but I think still, even with the heavy burst that comes in initially, we get several inches in some of the major metro areas.
So snow, ice, potentially flooding after all this?
Yeah, because there are, I think a lot of the rivers here could go at least to moderate flood stage because we've got so many types of precipitation going on, plus we've got some pretty good snowpack on the ground already. But look at these heavy amounts of snow that we'll see. A solid 5 to 8 inches in around New York Metro and down through Jersey here. And then there's Boston. We'll also add some snow to our forecast on top of what we have, which is just absolutely ridiculous, right? So today, not too bad for most of the day in Boston, but notice what happens probably tail end of the rush hour. We get the snow in Boston, converts over to pink, which is brief sleet, and then it goes over to rain. So hopefully that'll hold down our snowfall totals somewhat, but we're still forecasting about 4 inches in Boston, easily enough to put us
4 inches
over the top
yes.
for our biggest snow season ever. In the Southeast, will all get about a half a foot or more, a little bit less the farther north you go. So a place like Manchester, about 2 inches. And how about a place like New York? Check out this forecast, Kelly. We're going to go snow and heavy snow for a couple of hours. That happens around rush hour, and then I think by the overnight it goes over to a little bit of rain here. But for New York, our biggest single-day snow this year is 5.5 inches. We're forecasting 8.
Oh,
so this will be our biggest single-day snow of the year.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. Kate, over to you.
Ooh, well, and it's just 3.6 inches to go. That's what we were just talking about. Boston still chasing its snowiest season on record, and the 20-year-old record could fall this week. That's why Mike Seidel is live in Boston.
Like we need any more snow, Kate. Look at this out here. It's a beautiful day in Boston. The sun is out. That's March sun angle, feeling awfully nice. There's very little wind chill, but we've got more wintry weather, as Mr. Bettis just discussed. We'll give you the timeline, the impacts, and talk about how it's impacting the Boston Marathon. All coming up.
Can a protein originally found in a jellyfish improve your memory? Our scientists say yes. Researchers have discovered a protein that actually